Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to our live sessions. I hope all of you have had a wonderful weekend. At least I have, Alhamdulillah. And I'm so glad to be back with all of you here today. All right, so as promised, today we're going to discuss direct and indirect speeches. It's a very important chapter, but this is a chapter which if you learn it, it will actually help you in your regular conversations. So you can come to know when to keep a speech in its direct form, or when to transform it, or when actually to make it an indirect speech. All right? Okay, so let's get going and let's see what we have here. Okay, before I do so, I think I've got some wonderful remarks here and some greetings. Tasnia Rabi saying Assalamu alaikum, sir. Wa alaikum assalam, Tasnia. How are you? Sarafat Afridi here is saying Assalamu alaikum, sir. Wa alaikum assalam. I'm having a lot of fun learning English from you. I like the way you teach us, sir. I would like to do a lot for you, inshallah. Thank you so much, Sarafat. Thank you so much. I'm humbled and honored to have been here with you. And thank you for making a lot of dua for me. I will also keep you in my dua. Thank you. Okay, then we have Sultan Al Arafat saying Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam, Sultan. How are you? Junaidul Islam is here saying Assalamu alaikum, sir. Wa alaikum assalam, Junaidul. Ninza Mun is here saying Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you? Well, I'm fine. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for asking. How are you, Ninza? Salahuddin Rana is here saying Assalamu alaikum, sir. Good evening. Good evening to you too. And wa alaikum assalam to you as well. So how are you, Salahuddin? Do let me know how you have spent your weekend. You see, weekends are certain times when we can actually do a lot, or certain things that we don't really get enough time for within the weeks or within the weekdays or during the weekdays. So maybe, for example, you wanted to watch a movie, but you couldn't make time. You can watch that movie at a weekend, or you could start reading a book that you had wanted to read, but then again, you could not. And now you can do it during your weekend. So weekends are very important, and you can use your time on your weekend very wisely. Or you could actually start a course, online. An online course. There are so many courses available now. Many of them are free. Many of them cost very less. So you can look into such courses and actually always keep yourselves busy in learning and development. And there is no alternative to learning and development. Always keep learning and keep developing yourselves. That is a motto that I follow in my life, and I won't say I'm very good at this, but I'm trying to get myself into this process of continuous learning and development, and it's very helpful. It really helps you grow. Yeah. All right. So let's see what we have here today. Okay. Asif Zamanino is here. Hello, Asif. How are you? We missed your class at Augmatics. Oh, I miss all of you so much, Asif. It's so good to hear from you today. Yeah, I hope to see you at the office soon as well, inshallah. I have another remark here from Ninja saying, I don't get quizzes about the chapter voice and modal verbs yet. Can you recheck about it, sir? Please email it to your. I think I've sent I did send the quiz to all of you earlier today, but I'll see again, and I'll see if I can find your email, and I'll actually check whether you've received it or not. Thank you for letting me know, though. Okay, so let's head forward to what we have today. Like I said, we're going to study direct and indirect speeches. Okay, there you go. Direct and indirect speeches. Do you know how to report what somebody else said? Look at these examples to see how we can tell someone what another person said. Direct speech. I love the Toy Story films, she said. Indirect speech. She said she loved the Toy Story films. Direct speech. I worked as a waiter before becoming a chef, he said. Indirect speech. He said he had worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. Direct speech again. I'll phone you tomorrow, he said. Indirect speech. He said he would phone me the next day. Okay, moving forward to the next slide, but do remember, we'll get back to this slide again in a short while. Okay, so what we have here, reported speech is when we tell someone what another person said in the past. To do this, we can use direct speech or indirect speech. Direct speech, I work in a bank, said Daniel. Indirect speech, Daniel said that he worked in a bank. In indirect speech, we often use a tense which is further back in the past, for example, worked, than the tense originally used, for example, work. This is called backshift. We also may need to change other words that we use, for example, pronouns. All right. Now, before diving deeper into what direct and indirect speeches are, or how do we exactly use them, let me tell you the very basic definition of, or how we can actually come about to use direct and indirect speeches. So when do we really need to talk about, or put certain things in direct speeches? All right, I'm just going to take a 2-minute break from you, just a 2-minute break. Coming back right away. Okay, thank you for being here. Thanks for waiting for me. So as I was saying, there are 2 kinds of speeches, direct speech or direct speeches and indirect speeches. So when you quote someone or when you talk about someone, not exactly about, but when you want to talk about something that someone said, and when you quote that person directly, right, what you're doing is you're actually quoting a direct speech, or you're saying a direct speech. So just for example, if I tell you that I love English, right? If I tell you now that I love English and you are quoting my exact words to someone else. So you're saying, Farhan Bhaiya said, comma, open quotation mark, I love English, full stop, close quotation mark. So here, you have just quoted my exact words. And in the process, what did you do altogether? What have you done altogether? What you did, or what you have done, is you have actually said the words that I had said. You follow? Okay. So, on the other hand, when you don't want to directly quote someone, but rather say the exact same thing, but in your own words, then you would not be directly quoting that person. Rather, you would be talking about what that person said in your own words. And when you do so, you would be saying an indirect speech, such as Farhan Bhaiya said, he loved English. Okay? Now, when you indirectly say or indirectly quote a person's saying or a person's speech, what we do is we go a step back, meaning we actually backshift. I mean to say that we change the tense we actually take the tense a step back. So if someone says something in the present tense, we change the tense to the past tense. We actually take it back to the past tense. If someone says something in the past tense, then we change it. We'll take it back to the past perfect tense. All right? Let's take a look at these examples over here. I love the Toy Story films, she said. So here we have a direct speech from a person, and whoever is saying this is directly quoted what the person had said. So I love the Toy Story films. All right. Now, in the indirect speech, when you transfer it, or when you don't want to talk of, or when you don't want to say what the person said to you directly, what you would rather do is quote that person, talk about what the person said indirectly, using your own words. What do you say? You say, she said she loved the Toy Story films. Okay. In direct speech, like in the second example, you have, I worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. I worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. Now, this is again, you're quoting someone's direct speech, or you're laying out words exactly as someone said. So you say, I worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. He said, indirect speech. He said he had worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. He said he had worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. Now, follow. In the direct speech, the narrator or the main speaker said it or said his speech in the past tense, such as I worked, right? I worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. Now, what do you do? What do we do when we indirectly quote this person or indirectly say what the person has said? We actually take a tense back. We actually go a tense back, right? And we make the past tense, we change the past tense to the past perfect tense, saying he said he had worked, not he worked, but he had worked as a waiter before becoming a chef. Okay. Now, take a look at the third example of direct and indirect speeches here. I will phone you tomorrow. I will phone you tomorrow, he said in direct speech. He said he would phone me the next day. Now, what about the future tense? So when someone says something in the future tense, and a couple of days later, you're now talking about what the person said, and you're not going to directly quote that person. So what you do is you do talk of that person, or you do say what the person said in the past tense again. The future tense also gets to the past tense, but only in this case, the verbs that we put in the future tense has to be put in the past tense using the modal verb would. So will becomes would. So I will phone tomorrow becomes he said he would phone me the next day. Now follow this. Tomorrow, you cannot say he will phone me tomorrow, because if you say this now, it would mean that he or the person who told you this would call you tomorrow, but that cannot be, right? Because this tomorrow is now in the past. It's not in the future. It cannot be in the future anymore. So you say he said he will phone me the next day. Okay? All right. I hope we are clear so far. If we are not, please do let me know your queries in the comment section. I think I've got some remarks here, and I'm going to take them, complete them. We have something here from Rayhana saying, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Walaikum assalam, Rayhana. Thank you. How are you? I'm fine. Alhamdulillah. Thank you once again. How are you? Do let me know how you are. I attend quizzes watching the recorded live, but I'm joining you live for the very first time today. Your live class is really resourceful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such kind words of encouragement. I hope I can help you better, inshallah. Okay. So here, moving on to the next slide that we have here. Now, once again, reported speech is when we tell someone what another person said in the past. To do this, we can use direct speech or indirect speech. So you can actually talk about or talk of something that someone said in the direct speech or in the indirect speech. It's up to you. But mostly in conversation, what we do is we actually quote people indirectly. We actually, is there a lot of echo going on around here? Okay, let's see if I can fix it. Let me know how it's working for you now. Okay. All right. So reported speech is when we tell someone what another person said in the past. To do this, we cannot use direct speech or indirect speech. That's how we can use direct speech or indirect speech. As I was saying, so mostly in most cases, what we do is when we want to talk about what someone said, we rather quote that person indirectly. We don't really go on. We do, but okay, I think there's a lot of vibration here. Just give me a moment. Okay, how about now? Is it working fine now? I'll say it more so you can understand. Daniel says or said, I work in a bank. now, you're indirectly quoting or indirectly saying what he said. So you say, Daniel said that he worked in a bank. Daniel said that he worked in a bank. Okay, so in indirect speech, we often use a tense which is further back in the past, for example, what, than the tense originally used, for example, what. This is called backshift. We also may need to change other words that we use, for example, pronouns. So like I already said, that whenever we, all right, it's not clear yet? Okay, in that case, I'm going to have to ask you to wait for a couple more minutes. Okay, is it any better now? I'm going to repeat what I was saying. Okay, so recorded speech is when we tell someone what another person said in the past. To do this, we can use direct speech or indirect speech. Direct speech. I work in a bank, so Daniel, indirect speech, Daniel said he worked in a bank. Can you hear me now, all of you? Any good? I hope so. I hope I'm fine. I hope I am audible enough. All right, then. So, moving forward to what I was saying. Present simple, present continuous, and present perfect. Take a look at this. So, when we backshift, present simple changes to past simple, present continuous changes to past continuous, and present perfect changes to past perfect. I travel a lot in my job. Jamila said that she traveled a lot in her job. The baby's sleeping. He told me the baby was sleeping. I've hurt my leg. She said she had hurt her leg. So, okay, it's still not clear. I'll be getting back to you in 5 minutes.